Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this 12th annual celebration of achievement by the members of Project MOST. We're about ready to get started. And we'll get started and follow the program as listed. So first of all, we'll have the Vice President of Academic Affairs, that's Dr. Carol Ash, to come forward and give some welcoming comments to the audience. Thank you.
Slide the microphone over this way, because if I stand here, you probably won't be able to see me. No. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Oh, no. Let's try that one again. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. All right, there we go. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. This is going to be a very special celebration. This is my first Project MOST award ceremony, and so I'm super excited to be here, happy to be in the presence of all of you, our community members and our students, our faculty and our staff. As the program states, today we are here to, can you hear me better now? Is that better? Yes. I figured as much. We're here to recognize the accomplishments and the community service and the academic achievements of all of our students that participate in Project MOST, right? It says that in the program, pretty easy to understand. But what we all know, that they should be applauded for so much more than that. They have shown true dedication. They have shown true determination, resiliency, and resolve. And they've shown real leadership, both in the campus, in their homes, and in their communities. They've been challenged like never before, but have not wavered, and they have not strayed from their path to educational achievement, to career progression, and upward financial mobility for themselves, for their families, and for their community. And that is something that should definitely be applauded for. Before I depart, I want to thank Mr. Kareem Abdul Salam, who is our director and our visionary for Project MOST, and his super talented staff that have worked so hard to put this event together. So if you're a staff member working for Project MOST, I'm going to ask you to stand, please, so we can acknowledge you. Also, a very special thank you to all of our faculty who are integral in ensuring that our students are not only learning, but they also know how to use and leverage that knowledge to be successful in their lives. And finally, last but not least, a thank you to our keynote speaker today, Mr. Benjamin Bilal, also known as Instructor Bilal, for sharing his words of wisdom and guidance. To the students, know that this is just the beginning. Your family here at Southwest is here to support you in every way that we can. We're here to help you when times get hard, and we're here to celebrate you for every goal that you achieve. So on behalf of our esteemed president, Dr. Tracy Hall, and the entire Southwest team of faculty and staff, thank you for joining us today, and congratulations to all our students.
Good morning. Good morning. Today, the Southwest Tennessee Community College staff, the counselors of Project MOST, and our director, Mr. Kareem Abdul Salam, we are privileged as well as honored to recognize the accomplishments and the academic achievement of our MOST students for the fall 2023 term. Join us in congratulating these brilliant students who are in 3 categories: 4.0 Black Diamond, 3.0 to 3.99 Academic Excellence, and 2.50 to 2.99 Academic Achievements. Also, each counselor will award a student from their caseload with a GRIT award. GRIT is a student who will get back up, Review the situation, identify a new strategy, and try again. These students have the determination to view failure as a path to new learning. Students, when your name is called, please come forward. My first recipient is Omar Torre, who earned a 4.0, a Black Diamond Award. Next is the Academic Excellence, Landon Clayton. Miguel Collier, LG. Abdikadir Dure. Jordan Gardner. Jerry Taylor. Corey Webb. Swabu Ali. Cameron Brown. Santiago Mateo. Jackson Muhammad. Samuel Harris. Alfane Dak. Devin Walls. Jacob Jackson. Kylan Jackson. George Jones. And Daniel Webster. And my grit recipient is Corey Webb.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Kayla Thomstone. I am also a Project Host Counselor, and I am so excited to be able to award my students for their hard work. Starting with the Academic Excellence Award, Kylan A. Williams. Alex Vanderberg. One Day Eno. Cameron Gunnigan. 2024 Project Most Grit Award to none other than Kylan A. Williams.
Good morning, everyone. I am Daphne Trawick. I am also one of the most counselors. And my first recipient for the Black Diamond Award is Laramie Bogart Jr. Also for the Black Diamond Award, I have Keaton Jones. My next recipient for the Academic Excellence Award is Kaylin Johnson. My next award goes to Timothy Rivers, Academic Excellence. The next recipient for Academic Excellence, Cameron Rhodes. Jonathan Jones. Jaden Munger. Trevion Moore. Ryan Chenault. Timmy Tope Aliwakir. Jalen Leak. Emerson Marion. Ryan Tashi. For my Academic Achievement Award, Tyreek Gatewood. Tracy Harding. Rodriguez Bean. And Connor Heath. And for my Grit Award, Tremont Vaughn. Thank you.
Good morning. Right, I'm Deborah Davis, and for my Black Diamond, we have Shandon Roberts. Academic Excellence, James Ambrose. Cadian Coe. Antonia Crawford. Hill. Mitchell Jones. Jean LaFleur. Thomas Mango. Taurus McDaniel. Jonathan McKenzie. Brandon Smith. Jordan Swift. Sadian Salah. Dorian Turner. Patrick Wolf. And now for my Academic Achievement Awards. Marino Bailey. Kenneth Boyce. Derek Jones. Antonio Hill. Derek D. Jones Jr. Gabriel Kinsey. Terry Mack. And Stanley Payne. Davion Warfield. Tyrick Wilkins. Okay, and for my grit award is Tyrick Wilkins.
So we still have a couple of awards, a few awards to give out. We have the Faculty Teamwork Award that we'd like to extend to our beloved Sister Annie Sultana. Thank you so much for all the work that you do. You know we can't do this thing all by ourselves. You have to have faculty input, staff input, peers, family, of course, first. We appreciate all of y'all being here. We still have one more, but I don't think that Miss Weddington is present. She's been ill. Project Most Staff Teamwork Award that goes to Ms. Whittington. I have another award here that we don't usually give. This is our first time giving it out, but I felt it necessary because of the hard work that I know this student has put in over a number of years. And finally reached the finish line, as they say. He will be graduating the next graduation. It's Mr. Terry Mack. Keep on the good work. I saved this award to last because this is our top award. It's called the Almost Award. Not almost like you barely made it. I mean, everything that the program encompasses, that's what we mean when we say the Almost Award. And it goes to a very distinguished young man. I've been watching him for a while, and he's been, every time you look at something on a college website, you see his face. That's right. That's Mr. Rico. Full of enthusiasm, right? Thank you, sir. I appreciate all that you do.
Yes, sir.
You represent the college. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm back again because you know we have Memphis traffic, and my 4.0 recipient was caught in that traffic. So he is here now, my Black Diamond Award 4.0, Mr. Omar Toure.
You know, I know you couldn't help but notice a lot of students were not here to receive their awards. But what we always encourage students to do, if you have class, if you have work, let that be your priority, okay? That comes first. We'll get you all the recognition that you need later on. All right. Another thing, I know that some people may be tired of clapping, right? But you know, I did some research on clapping. Clapping is a very beneficial thing to the person who's doing the clapping. Do you know that clapping allows the left and the right hemisphere of your brain to communicate? Yeah, I didn't know that. You know, I just seen, well, to be honest, I visited some churches during the month of December. I had a lot of funerals, you know. But one thing I noticed in common, they did a lot of clapping. And so my thought was, it must be something about clapping. So I went to Dr. Google, and I actually researched what's the hidden meaning behind clapping. And that's what I came up with. It says that it allows the individual who's doing the clapping to let both sides of his brain communicate. Because some people say that you just left-brained it, or you right-brained it, you know, and just leave you at that. Clapping helps you to balance that thing off, okay? So I saw a lot of clapping going on today, even for people who weren't here. And we appreciate that, okay? So without any further ado, because I want to give this next presenter, those chairs are kind of tricky, man. They'll jump up on you. But we want to give him all this time that we can to bring the message that we would like for you to share from him. He's internationally known linguist, You know, linguistics is the study of language, right? And what we've come to find out is that it's the language environments that help make us more successful or less successful than anything else, that language environment. And I also, when I say we, I mean my team, those 4 counselors that came up, we had decided that this semester, our primary focus is going to be on the true human. The true human. And that should register with you. Because now we're in the world of artificial intelligence and all this other stuff. But what we want is the real thing. Right? Right. I think our illustrious speaker this morning is going to help take us down that road a little bit. Okay? So just put your gear on and hold on tight. Okay? 'Cause he's getting ready to wash you. Okay? Thank you. Mr. Bilal, please come forward.
First, I'd like to say thank you to this very, very honorable audience. I'm so used to dealing with issues in what we now call the hood. When I get in front of people who are not reflective of just the hood, and you're actually reflective of what should be the position that we take in building a neighborhood. You notice in the word hood, they left out the neighbor. And I believe that's where a lot of our problems began. When we started not paying attention to what a neighbor actually is. So I'd like to give my own personal thank you to all of you. Particularly to those who received those very illustrious awards this morning. I really, really give you kudos, because if I were to depend solely on media, I wouldn't even know that you exist. I would only know about the smash and grabs and the violence, the cussing and fussing. That would be all I know if I listened to just CNN and ABC and CNBC and all of these outlets. But it's very good to be in the company of people who still have maintained a tremendous measure of human dignity. And today we're talking about focusing on the true human for a better tomorrow. That's the theme for the next few minutes that I'll be speaking to you. Focusing on the true human for a better tomorrow. So we don't want tomorrow to be just what today is or what yesterday was. We don't want to wallow in what has happened in the past. If it has not been good, if it has not contributed towards our excellence, we don't want to stay there. We want to be people with a plan to advance excellence, which is another one of your themes, human excellence. And after I leave here today, I think you're going to be paying a pretty good amount of attention to words. I do words. If you don't remember me for anything else, I want you to remember me for my focus on words. Because words make people. You are not just what I'm seeing before you as flesh and blood and hairstyle and nice shoes and jewelry. That's not who you are. You are actually a conglomeration of ideas sitting in those chairs. You have your own ideology. You have your own religions, you have your own philosophy, you have your own way of expressing those things. So you are actually a grouping of very significant concepts that are sitting right here between your shoulders in what we call the human mind. We're going to be talking about that mind today as I present another kind of mantra to you that says man means mind. And that's one of the focuses, if you will, of this particular group that we're talking about under the umbrella of the acronym MOST. So let's begin with the word MOST. And this all came to me while I was sitting here breathing in your energy. Did you know that you can do that? You can breathe in people's energy. And what you came to say might not turn out to be what you actually said. Because the energy, the frequencies, the vibration that you're spilling out into the audience and into the atmosphere is what becomes the most significant focus for me. So if you look at the word most of us, all of us have heard the word most all of our lives. At least most of our lives, right? And we know that most means the greatest sum of something, S-U-M. My child ate most of his breakfast this morning. He left a little bit, but he at least was able to eat most of it. Most is a very, very important word in the English vocabulary. But what I want to introduce you to is a system that I was blessed to come up with that I call the Nunetics method. And I'll spell that for you, I'm sure. I think it's in the brochure also, but it's spelled N-U-N-E-T-I-C-S. Now that's a strange word. It's not Dianetics. It's not anything else that has etics at the end of it. It's called Nunetics. And it's based on an Arabic letter in the Arabic letter system called the Nun. N-U-N, you can even spell it N-O-O-N, it doesn't matter as long as you pronounce it like what you call the sun when it's 12 o'clock high. Noon. It's the letter N if we're translating it into English. Now, why am I naming a system after a letter in the Arabic letter system called Nun? Because that word has a meaning. In fact, every letter in the Arabic letter system has its own unique meaning. That understanding that I just gave to you has been lost on most of the people of the world who practice language. It's been lost on most of the scholars, even the Arabic scholars. And it's been lost on many people. I think there's a significant number of people within the Jewish community of this planet who still understand that their letter N and that their letter system, the Hebrew letter system, those letters mean things. We've lost that. And because we've lost that, we no longer realize that a word is not just a word. If every letter means something, the word then becomes a sentence. Does that make sense? If it makes sense, just raise your hands very quickly. Yeah, if every letter already means something, then when you put those letters together as a word, then the word means something much more than just a one or two meaning definition. So I'm here to share some of that with you. I'm not going to go deep into it, or else I call this my class. I do this every week. We'll leave the information for how you can contact us or view our weekly seminars and webinars and those kinds of things. I'll give that to you before we conclude, so be prepared to write those things down. Let me just formally greet you with the greetings that are traditional amongst the Muslims, but people don't understand that this greeting is actually traditional amongst all of the major, we call them religions. But it's the traditional greeting of all people, actually. When we say Salam Alaikum, we're not just saying that to people who speak Arabic or people who have confessed Islam. We're saying that to humanity. The kum on the end of Salam Alaikum means all people. It's not just talking to one person, not just talking to one ethnicity, not just talking to one language group. It's talking to anybody and everybody who agrees to live in peace. How's that? Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. So in Hebrew, they simply say Shalom Aleichem. It's really the same greeting. So if there are any people who speak Hebrew, any people here who are part of Judaism or anything that's associated with the Hebrew language, when I say Shalom, I'm saying Salam. It's the same word. It's from the same language group, the Semitic language group. So they understand when I'm in their presence, when they see me, the rabbis that I have interfacing with, and my Jewish friend. In fact, I don't know if I put it in my bio, but I was born into Judaism. I wasn't born as what they call a black Christian. I got to learn Christianity later when I started visiting churches because of my own curiosities. That happened around 13 or so. Up until then, I was a standard yarmulke wearing Jewish boy. And you might say, well, there's no such thing as black Jews. I beg to differ. That only means that you don't study enough. because all over Ethiopia, Eritrea, and these other places of the world, they have long, even in Israel, there has long been people my shade of color and darker who have become and still are parts of the Judaic world of Hebrew practitioners. So I'm here to just broaden your scope a little bit beyond what you learned in your local church, beyond what Muslims have learned in your local masjid, beyond what even the Hebrew followers have learned in their local synagogue. Because my mind is like a world traveler, and I like to make connections for purposes of connecting people. I think this world is much too divided as it stands, and I believe that most of that division is artificial. It ain't no God up there saying, "Be thou divided, humanity." And I'm going to pull out of that division my specially chosen one or my specially chosen religion. And I'm going to call it thus and thus, and everybody else has to kowtow and bow down to that particular ideology. That's not the source creator that I'm familiar with, nor is it the source creator that's spoken of in either the Bible or the Quran or the Torah for that matter. I've read all three of them and continue to read all three. So the peace that we're looking for is that comprehensive peace, and that's what all of those words mean. So if you're an English speaker, which most of you, if not all of you are, then I say to you, peace be upon you. And that phrase actually means that peace obligates you. When we say upon you, anything that you put upon something else, the thing you put it upon is obligated to hold the weight of that thing. I'm not going to put something upon another thing that I know can't hold that weight. So the question we need to ask ourselves is, can we hold the weight of what peace represents? So you might say, instructor, what does peace represent that it's going to be some burden on? No, it's not going to be a burden on you. Your nature, the way you have been created by our source creator, it's retrofitted for peace. If you want to understand what I'm talking about, you have to go beyond the hood, where there might be very little peace, and you have to go out into the cosmos. You have to go out into the universe. You have to study how the planets rotate. You have to study what the sun does as an obligation every day. Rain or shine, even if you can't see it, you know the light is there. It could be totally cloudy, you still know the light is there. All right? So that's the peace that we're talking about. When you look up at night, 12 o'clock, 2 in the morning, or whatever, and you do some meditation by the window or something, and you look out there, you can just tell there's an overwhelming sense of peace that comes along with observing the cosmos. Everybody understanding where I'm going with this, or what I'm saying with this? Yeah. So that peace has been clocked into your human nature by whoever, whatever created your human nature. I'm not going to give it a name. You give it the name that you have. God, Jesus, you can call it whatever. Whoever you believe created all of this, clocked peace into your nature. Now, I find it very telling that there are actually two words in the English language that are pronounced exactly like the one I just gave you, peace. There's the P-E-A-C-E, the one we're talking about directly, but then there's the P-I-E-C-E. You've heard of that peace, right? Anybody want to give me a working definition for that peace? P-I-E-C-E? No clue? Say it again. Yeah, exactly. I couldn't have put it any better myself. Young man said a part of the whole. He didn't say the whole. See, you're not obligated to by yourself be the whole peace, to bring the whole peace. You're not obligated to bring the entire world into peace. You're not even obligated to bring your entire family into a state of peace. That obligation is on each and every member as a part of the whole family. We're obligated to bring peace into the African American community, not by ourselves, as some singular leader or speaker for our concerns. But we're obligated to do our part, and that's what we mean by peace obligation. It obligates you to do what you have been born to do, but it's not going to be the whole job. So therefore, in order to reinforce your efforts, you're going to have to find people who believe like you believe. You have to find people who have the same objective that you have. You have to find people who want the home life. They want their building, their projects, and their streets, and their town, and their government. They want it to reflect their I want to say righteous, but everybody doesn't accept that term. So I'll say that they want their environment to reflect something wholesome. A wholesome environment. So when you send your children out to school in the morning, you're not worrying about whether they get there or not, or even now we have to worry more about after they get to school. Yeah, we have to worry about what happens after they get into the classroom. And I'm talking from grade school on up to high school. We have to worry all day long. Man, Chris get into another fight? Are they still doing the bullying thing? You know, are they judging my child because she's not what the other girls might be? Are they judging her and trying to be judge and jury and condemn her and laugh at her and pick on her in the yard and start fights and all the rest of that just because she chose a particular lifestyle? That lifestyle is her business. If it's not affecting you, that lifestyle is her business. His lifestyle is his business. The true human that we're talking about today supersedes those dresses that we like to wear and take off and put on a different one and take off, and it supersedes that. You were born with this human identity that I'm about to describe to you. It's not conferred on you by the government. It's not conferred on you by your particular choice of worship. This human that I'm about to talk about. It's conferred on you by whoever created you from the beginning. So we want to take this thing back to the beginning. Is that all right with all of you?
Sure.
All right. So most is consonantally connected. Now that means that you're to ignore the vowels in these words and just concentrate on what are called the consonants. All right? B, T, K, those points in the mouth where the mouth has to touch another part of the mouth, that's called a consonant. Vowels are open mouth sounds. I, E, I, U, right? Ah, right? All of those open mouth sounds are called vowels. Don't pay attention to those for today. They're important, but they're not important in what I'm about to explain to you. So if you look at the word most and look at the consonants, we're only seeing the letters M, S, what's the last one? T, exactly, right? Now, there are other words in the English language and in other languages that carry that combination of letters as consonants. Can you name another word in English? Say it loud. Master? Yeah, okay. Yeah, carries the M and the S and the T. Say again. Must. Yeah. Yes, that's an imperative. He must do this. Yeah, what's the other one? Say it again. All right, it's two people are talking, so I can't hear.
I was saying yes. B-E-S.
Okay, but there's no M in there. But it's okay. There's still a relationship. Because B and M come from the same part of the mouth. The combination of the lips coming together. But, so they're kissing cousins. You're calling that, all right? So yeah, because the best is when you have the most. When you have the most, you got the best. Right? All right, so another one is moist. Most, moist. Another one, if you look at religion, is the prophet called Moses. He doesn't have the T, but the T is not really that important in this combination of consonants. In the Quran, in Arabic, he's called the Musa, so it's really the M and the S that are the important letters. And remember what I said a minute ago. Every letter is significant because every letter in every alphabet system, not just Arabic, not just Hebrew, also in English. Every English letter has its own unique meaning. And I have a book to that effect. I'll share the website with you before we conclude. That book is called The N-Word. How about that? Does that scare you? The N-Word. And I'm not talking about the one that has been popularized through popular media. When I say N, I'm talking about the actual letter. Just like in my system of nunetics, the Arabic letter N, nun, is what it's based on. So for the English letter system, I did the same thing, but I gave you where every English letter comes from, historically speaking. They say it comes out of the Hebrew letter system. That's not all of the way true. All of those letters come off the walls of temples in ancient Egypt. Let me let you digest that for a minute, because I know you weren't taught that in school. All of those letters come off of the walls of ancient Egypt. Those pyramids and all those things you keep seeing, they call that land ancient Kemet. It was changed to the word Egypt, a Greek word, which is fine. All of those names have meanings, all right? But the point here is that every letter has its meaning in their respective language system. So what does this M and S mean? Put on your thinking caps. I know you brought them with you. All right. When we come to graduations, the typical graduations, they bring their mortarboard cap. Yeah, the 4 squared one. Okay? They bring that. And they turn the tassel. All that has meanings that, again, has been kept away from you in your academic efforts, your schooling efforts. Nobody told you that when you graduate, the mortarboard cap, and you use a mortarboard to build things, right? You put that mortar on that slate that they give you when you go around and you start patching up stuff and putting bricks together is what it's used for mostly. But they have not taught us how to put the bricks of our human life together, because they never told us what the human life was actually composed of. In fact, they never even told us what the word human means throughout all of your academic career, from kindergarten all the way up to college and university. None of your classes, I can bet you, if they did, I want you to raise your hand if you had a conversation with a teacher or a professor about what the actual word Human means and where it came from. Raise your hand if they did. I hope the camera's catching all of this silence. And it's okay, because you're going to learn that today. It's still useful to do today what the word human actually means. But let's talk about that M and S first. The letter M in all of the language systems that I have personally investigated. I haven't investigated every language system, obviously. There are bunches of them. But in the language systems that are most popular on planet Earth, I mentioned 3 of them already: Arabic, Hebrew, English. You can include the Greek language in this also. Their letter M refers to water. That thing with the waves in it. That's why the M looks like it looks. It's a picture of waves in the water. All right? Now, what does that mean in terms of what we are to grasp from that understanding for our human growth and development? There's something in you. First of all, if you're a chemist or a biology major or something, you don't even have to be a major to know that the majority of this human body is composed of water. You've heard that, right? You think it's just blood, but what is the main constituent of blood or in the blood? It's water. They say we're upwards of 75% water. An infant that's born, maybe 85% water. So once you understand what water represents as a symbol, then you'll understand what this M and this S are doing in these words. Water as a symbol all over the world that I have personally investigated has 2 meanings. The first meaning is that it represents your emotional nature. How you function, humanly speaking, in your emotionality, your feelings, and how your feelings are actually expressed. If I had a bowl of water here now, I'm sure all of you have done this at some point in your lives. You have a still bowl of water. Nothing is interfering with it. Nothing is touching it. You're not even breathing onto it. If you do any of those things, touch it, even breathe onto it, it's going to move. It's going to create a ripple. It's going to create concentric circles. If you touch it, those circles are going to begin to spread further and further, just like they talk about in communications. Right? You see that concentric circle picture that they give you in communications with the tower, with the antenna, and it goes up, whoop, whoop, and it keeps spreading out further and further and further. Well, that's why it's called media. And media begins with what letter? Okay, you're beginning to get the picture. Okay, so it represents that which is going to have an ultimate effect on how you feel. Isn't that what media does? Right? Doesn't mean it's going to have you feel the correct way all of the time, but it definitely is going to touch you emotion. That's the first meaning for the letter M in all of those languages. The second meaning is the meaning that actually grows out of what emotions do. Emotions help you to make moral choices. There's not a moral choice that you have made in your life that was not based on how you feel. Your choice of friends, your choice of companions, spouses, friends, learning environments, all of those things are based on how you feel about whoever or whatever you're choosing to interface with. Now, if you chose your wife or your husband or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your best friend, if you chose them without having any kind of feelings about them, you made a bad choice. Yeah, whatever that secondary thing is that you were basing the thing on, yo, he got money. And that's unfortunately what some of our young women are saying as the reason for why they get a boyfriend. Yeah, he clocking dollars. This man, what's his name again? Joey. What's his last name? I don't even know. But that's your boyfriend now? Because he's riding around in something that looks fancy and shiny and all of that. And he's wearing the best outfits that cost the most amount of money. And he's able to get you whatever that purse is that you've been wanting for 5 years. So that means that the choices, the moral choices that you are making have become contaminated in the same way that water can become what? Contaminated. So we're talking about the true meaning of what a true human is. Lesson number 1, you're not a true human unless your moral choice making and your emotions are attempting to operate in purity without being sullied, they call it, or dirtied up with stuff that shouldn't be in there. There's things that should not be in your moral mind that we're making all kinds of major decisions on. Who we're going to vote for president. That's fine. Make your moral choice, but just make sure there ain't no dirt and stuff in that decision. Make sure that decision is pure from your pure heart, from the pure ability and the intellect to make these kinds of important choices. So moral means that you're making the right. It doesn't just mean that you're making choice. It means that you're making the correct choices to the best of your knowledge and ability. If you're understanding what I'm saying, just raise your hand. Yeah, intelligent, yeah, right? It's not just making choices when you say moral. Because there's a group out there called the moral majority doesn't mean they're going to be right in everything they say just because they're calling themselves moral. No, moral means what water means. How many people in here, and I know nobody's going to raise their hands for this one, but how many people in here are willing to drink a glass of water that has dirt in it? Nobody. If you saw a speck in your glass of water, you're going to say to the waiter, yo, what is this, man? You better bring me a fresh glass of, just a speck. You could have put your finger in there and got it out and been fine with the rest of the water. But there's something in your nature that says, no, bring me a fresh glass of water. That's how you should be when you make moral choices pertaining to who your friends are. When you make moral choices pertaining to who you're going to spend the rest of your life with as a partner. When you make choices as to what neighborhood you're going to move into and hopefully contribute to. You have to have that same mind. How can I go in there and contribute something that is pure? Something that doesn't interfere with anything else that's going on that's good. That's the way your mind is designed. That is part of what constitutes a true, what? Human. All right. Let's continue. Everybody, are you comfortable? Yes, sir. Get up, stretch. I might take the white mic and start walking around and end up in front of you for your answers. All right. So we're still talking about most, moist, Moses, all of them have to do with water. You notice that? You might not see it in most, but you definitely see it in moist. Moisture is that which is rising a bit above the surface of the water, right? If you're boiling water, the moisture in the air is just a bit above of the actual body of water in the water. If it's moist outside, right? That moisture is in the atmosphere, it's in the air. Helps you breathe better. How about that? So that should automatically tell you that if you're practicing proper moral conduct and moral thinking, your soul should be breathing better. Your very existence, you should wake up in the morning vibrant, not dull, not depressed, not feeling as though you've been forsaken, because the decision to be a true human operating on the human level is your individual decision, not the decision of your mama, your daddy, your teacher, your friend, your neighbor, the person who's paying you a check every week or 2 weeks. It's not their decision as to whether your mind operates on this moral platform that we're speaking about. It's your individual choice. Now, what does that say? It says that if you are feeling any of these other ways, now I'm going into an area of psychology, bear with me. Some of you have majored in it. If you're feeling other than as a person who's able to make their own healthy choices, it's because somebody else is thinking for you. Somebody else is directing that moral nature. Somebody else is the wind that's blowing on the water that's creating all of those waves that you're experiencing as depression and gloom and doom and all of those things. You do not have to be living under that artificial pressure. We spend how many thousands of dollars as individuals and millions and billions of dollars on the psychiatric department and their analysis of a person's particular mental issues, problems, and emotional issues and problems. We spend thousands of dollars a year on dealing with that. And in many cases we should, because they have serious issues that need to be dealt with in a one-on-one with the person who's trying to get them out of that depressing state. But alongside that, we're spending millions of dollars on pharmaceuticals to give them temporary relief. And that temporary relief is causing the pharmaceutical industry to just earn millions and billions of dollars a year from people who are not feeling well, who are getting answers from the pharmaceutical industry that are temporary band-aids, so that when that particular medication wears off, or when that particular influence wears off or out of their system, they're right back to get the next set of probably stronger pharmaceuticals. Now, I hope that I'm not ruffling anybody's feathers, but if I'm going to tell you what a true human is, I got to tell it to you in a way that I believe to be the truth. You have the power to change your own mental and emotional disposition. If you know what your mental and emotional disposition is composed of, it's really that simple. And if you want to know, I don't have to give it to you in clinical terms. I just gave it to you in nature's terms. Just study water. There are major books out on water. Who was that professor? Emoto, right? Yeah, Emoto. He wrote a whole book on how this water thing operates. And I'm going to tell you this one thing he said that's very important for you to understand and remember. He said that, someone have an emergency up there with their phone? I'm hearing a phone or some conversation. Yeah, no problem. Let's work it out. All right. This Professor Emoto said that when he would freeze water, or almost freeze it to the temperature where it's like just before ice, when it has already formed crystals He said that he would do that by getting a glass of water, tap water. He got the water from different sources. And he would freeze all of them. But before he would freeze them, here's what this man would do. He said that he would speak into the glass of water. Now, he's not a reverend. He's not an imam. He's not a rabbi. He's not a religious figure. He's a scientist. He said he would speak into the glass of water and then allow it to almost freeze. And then he would put that almost frozen water under a magnifying glass. And the crystal shapes that it would form, just like you have snowflakes that form crystal form. He said that if he said negative things into the water, curse words, negative words that you would not normally want to say to another human being, he said the crystals would develop into very disfigured shapes, hideous shapes. But he said that when he would take that same glass of water, this is why I see some people shaking their heads, because you read that book. Same glass of water. Before freezing it, he would say very honorable things, lovely things. He would give them, and it could be in any language: love, peace, harmony, togetherness, into the same glass of water. When he would partially freeze it, it would form crystalline shapes that were magnificently beautiful. Magnificently beautiful. Just the symmetry was just so perfect, right? So what does that say about words? Remember, we said words make people. What does that say about words that we're listening to all day long? Some of us all night long, because we keep our headphones on when we sleep. And we're hearing words that are all, what you hear in the common array of so-called hip hop and rap music today. I'm not talking about the positive rap. I'm talking about that negative stuff that we had to sit through just trying to have dinner in a restaurant yesterday. A public restaurant was spitting all of these rhymes and all of that, talking about your mama and your girlfriend's a hoe and all that. We sat there because we're scientists. We're studying the problem. But what does that say when those words have to go into a human body that is composed of 75% water? Yes, it will become crystallized. And that crystallization is going to inevitably produce a very disfigured shape. What does that mean for those lyrics that are going into your moral mind? That your sense of what is morally appropriate is also going to become disfigured. You cannot escape it because nature is doing it. We acquiesce to it. We say, well, that's the way the world is. Yeah, I hear my little boy, my little 13-year-old in the room talking about mother effing and the bees and hoes and all that in his music. I just make him close his door, because that's just a sign of the time. No, that's a sign of your lack of leadership in what's supposed to be your house. And like I said, I know some people won't like it for me saying it, and I don't think that's the majority of you. But I know when people hear this, if it appears on YouTube, they'll be, young folks, he's talking that moral stuff again. Yeah, I'm talking that moral stuff because it applies directly to how you live. And if you're not careful, it's going to apply directly to how you die. And you can die while living in this body. How about that? You can die while living in this body, breathing, walking around, doing your shopping, listening to your music, going to bed, having your relationships. You can be dead walking around in this physical body with the heart beating, the blood pulsating through the veins. You can be dead. You've heard the phrase, dead from the neck up, in need of a checkup. Yeah. And all of the scriptures talk about this death. In fact, when most scriptures talk about dead, or becoming dead, or dying, they're talking about death that takes place on the internal levels of your human life. When you become dead as a thinker, when the only conversation that you have for people is related to stuff that doesn't matter in the world. It's not going to take you any further up the ladder of progress and evolution, human evolution, than where you started. In fact, it's going to cause you to lose a few rungs on the ladder if you're concentrating mostly on just negative stuff. Hurting somebody, getting in somebody's business where you don't belong. People are quick to do that. They hear a conversation happening across the street. Oh, they must be talking about Joey. And they're quick to run over there and find out what's going on with Joey so they can put their 2 cents in the conversation about something that is actually none of their business. If it was your business, they would have called you, oh, hey, Kim, come corroborate this for me. But we do that all of the time. We put our minds into other people's business every time we turn on the television. I remember as a young boy, 12, 13, my mother she just loved her soap operas. If you're my age or older, you remember the soap opera. Love of Life, As the World Turns. I'm sure, who can name a couple of other soap operas if you're your General Hospital. What is that? Yeah. Oh, that was a major one. I think they held the #1 spot for as long as they've been on television. All My Children. Young and the Restless. One Life to Live. Days, oh man, this is my crowd. Yeah, you understand what that is. They call them soap operas because when they first began promoting soap operas on television, it was for a good reason. They had moral lessons in the soap operas that you were supposed to walk away with in terms of how you operate with other people. That's why they called it soap, because it was intended to keep you morally clean. Then all of a sudden, something happened. The cards became shuffled, and we didn't understand what they were doing. They were beginning to put toxic information into the soap operas. The soap operas became sitcoms. The same sitcoms that we're watching today that promote vulgarity, that promote us talking about just about anybody that the censors will, that they can get away with, that the censors won't censor. And now that's what's being fed even to our children through their children's cartoons. Forget the soap operas. It's being fed through the average child. And boy, if you can find a children's cartoon that is promoting this moral life, and there are several of them out there, please let your child fall in love with those. Because the alternative represents the death of your child's mind. And yours if you're in love with the same cartoon figures. All right, I'm going to speed this up a little bit. Everybody all right? So far, so good? All right. And I hope you're getting the most out of this presentation. And Moses, as you know, had to do with the water also. He was saved from the water. That's what his name means. One who is drawn from the water. I'm sure we have people here who represent religion and they know the language. They would agree with me. Saved from the water. And we're in a position now in the world where the water, the moral ideas and the emotionality of people has become so contaminated that now all of us need Moses. Or we need to be in the position of Moses to be saved from all of this contaminated water. So what is this word human? Human. It's a combination of two words. The HU is actually the word humus, H-U-M-U-S. You might not be familiar with that term because they don't use it academically. They use it in what's called botany, the study of how plants grow. Humus. Humus represents moisture. Humus represents the moisture that has to be present in the soil before the seed will open up and reveal its sequence. So if you try to plant seeds in soil that is dry, no growth. If you try to plant a plant or a seed into soil that is too mixed up with rocks and other things that interfere with the opening up of that seed, no growth. You ever wonder why a whole people in this country were called a Negro? Because cryptically it means no grow. No growth. No growth where? Right here in the mind. They wanted to keep a whole people subjugated mentally and experience no growth. Where is that no growth taking place? In industry, in economics, in government. For a long time, there was no growth being exhibited by African American people in this country. And that was on purpose. If you don't believe it was on purpose, check out some of the sitcoms that came about right around the 1970s. Remember Webster? How tall was he? And they say he couldn't grow. Who was the other one? With Willis, with his brother Willis. What you talking about, Willis? Gary Coleman, another one. Why are they bringing us all of these children who can't grow? Past 4 feet, something, 5 feet, 2, or whatever. Remember George Jefferson? Where is he? But everybody, laughed at him for being a short man. You think that was all accidental? Couldn't have been. You think it's accidental that a lot of our young people starting in the 80s started calling their girlfriends shorties? Yeah, that's my she's probably taller than he is. But that's his shorty. If you short somebody in money, that's a problem. Yo, man, I gave you 20, you gave me back 5. You shortened me. Short is not a good idea when it's used generally in the language. So you young brothers need to ask yourself, how did she become your short? Who gave you that idea? Why are they promoting this idea, especially for our black men, that they should be short? Because they're sending subliminal signals into the air, into the airwaves. Subliminal ideas that are working in your subconscious mind without your conscious mind being able to detect it. So for your conscious mind, everything is okie doke, everything is fine, everything is lovely. But operating in your subconscious mind, where your emotions and your memories are, they're doing havoc on your subconscious thoughts, on how you feel, even about yourself. Going back to the idea about how we become depressed and can't explain why. Now, to wrap up, let's say this. If man means mind, and a true human is one who has a humus man, which means humus mind, which means a mind that is operating based on a water content. And water means 2 things. Tell me what they are again, if you remember. Emotions. Moral thinking. So that's what a true human is. A person, male or female, elderly, middle-aged, child, doesn't matter. If they are operating based on moral thinking, trying to separate the good from the bad, the clean from the filthy, so that they can then apply it in their individual lives or even their collective lives as a people, then they are the ones who are growing along the lines of true human growth. Anybody or any people growing outside of those parameters are growing in a direction that is not headed towards being a true human. And your local prisons can prove that to you. If you look at the number of crimes and the type of crimes that we are now going to prison because of, hideous, heinous crimes being committed in some cases against totally innocent people. Sometimes people in the family. One guy murdered a person and then murdered the teenager who witnessed it from across the street because he didn't want him to squeal. Had nothing to do with it. He's across the street. He looked, oh, who is that? Oh, go get him, get him. So I don't have to explain to you all of the nuances and all of the details behind where we are right now as an African American people in terms of our behavior, but I will tell you that it's not mostly our fault. It's only our fault when people point out the issue and give you clear directives in terms of how to solve it, and you say, I don't want to do that. I'm comfortable being a criminal. I'm comfortable in my rap video showing me shooting people and slapping girls on the butt. I'm comfortable with that. People are comfortable with that. I like that image of me. Pants falling down behind me. I was getting off the plane yesterday. And I'm looking out the window. I had a window seat, which I love. And I'm looking at the guys who are, changing the fuel and, all of the things that the technicians do when the plane lands. Beautiful brother. But every 10 seconds he had to pull up his belt. Why doesn't he just buy a $5 belt and be done? Why would he want to be at work all day for 8 hours? Every time he makes a move to do something, he got to stop and pull up his pants. What's that about? That's about that same prison life that I just told you about. Because in prison, they don't give you a belt for fear of you strangling somebody or hanging yourself in the whatever. They don't give you a belt. So those brothers, especially, walk around most of the day having to, pull up. I guess now they figured out they could get a loop or something that they could wear. But the point is that we have to become more aware of the schemes, what we call the schemes of Satan. I know a lot of people in academics don't like to bring religion into the conversation. So just replace the word Satan with the social manipulators. The people who actually consciously manipulate society so that it's like a chess game. You make your move, they make their move. And they're looking 3 moves ahead of us. They know what you're going to do. And 3 moves from where you are, they're so sophisticated on that chessboard that they already know what your 3rd move is going to be, not to mention your next one. We're judging the world based on the move that was just made, and that's how we're making our judgment. Oh, well, they just passed this bill concerning our children, where they have all of the right in the world to do what they want with their own body, and they're only 11 years old. Do you know that's in legislation? As a legislator, they can do what they do. But the same child at 11 years old can't drive a vehicle. You'll get arrested. You'll get arrested, the parent, if your 11-year-old is out there driving. So how can you not be able to drive, even if you know how to drive? I know 11-year-olds, especially down here, they learn early on the tractor, When I first lived in the South, I'm from New York originally. When I first lived in the South in the year 1999, I was surprised. I saw like an 11-year-old boy on a tractor. I saw like a 13-year-old driving a car, and it was nothing for them. They were being supervised and taught by their parents, so they were careful. Right? Didn't have that in New York, for good reason. But down here, where people were more family-oriented, they were able to do that. All right? Now, the human being is one who has been created to be able to supervise based on the content of learning, the collective experiences that they were collecting, gathering, so that they would be able to adequately make those decisions. Those decisions were not just based on nothing. Those decisions were based on plans that they had, based on the accumulation of knowledge. Right? Now let's wrap this up by talking about how we are so effectively manipulated, manipulated. We've had maneuvers played on us. You know them as maneuvers. We've had man oral spread all around our community. You know it as manure. Why are all of these words coming to us with man at the front of it? When you go to school, you're reading manuals. If you go to prison, they put a manacle around your wrists. So what is this man saying that we were not taught in schools that this word man means? Man means mind. Well, what does that have to do with a manacle? What does that have to do with a manual? What does that have to do with being manipulated? It's because the word man, if you look it up in a good dictionary, and I'm going to give you one that I suggest, is called the Etymology Online Dictionary. Etymology. Etym means the true meaning, and ology means the study of. So etymology is the study of the true meanings, not the meanings you learned years ago in, Webster Dictionary or these other dictionaries. I'll leave it at that. The etymology dictionary goes beyond and before the word got presented in Webster. It's breaking it down by its root, where it came from, what language it came out of, what people spoke it, how they used that term, and therefore you're going to get the best idea of what a word means. If you go into that online dictionary called the Online Etymology Dictionary, look up the word man. The first meaning is mind. How many people learn that in school? Again, no hands. The first meaning, not down the line, buried at the end of no, the first meaning for man in the Etymology Online Dictionary is mind. It says to think. To think. So when we call somebody a man, we're not just saying that they are a male species. Man, and we need to teach this to our children and grandchildren, it has nothing to do with being macho. Yo, be a man, be a man. That's how we teach our children sometimes. Yo, nigga, man up, man up. Brother don't even know what man means. He has no clue. If man means male, gender, why is it in the word woman? Why is it in the word mankind? Why is it in the word humanity? Is it just talking to men and boys? Heck no. It's talking equally to males and females because males and females have minds. That's why she's a woman. She's the womb that produces minds. That's what W-O in woman means. Womb. She's the womb of mind. There's not a mind that is on earth that did not come through a female's womb. What a responsibility conferred upon her. So if the mind is referring to the ability to think, and if words make people and words are frequencies, if you can take control of those frequencies, you can be the one making people. Different than what the Creator intended for people to be. The Creator intended for all of us to come out of the womb sensitive and to grow in sensitivity. When we say, well, how come your child looks like or acts like he don't got no sense? We say, he ain't got no sense. Why is he acting like that? He's 12 now. He's 14. She's 18. And she acting like she ain't got no sense. Why is she walking out the house looking like that? Like she wants everybody who's got a Jones for sex to be in her business. Why is she looking like that? Why is she offering? If I walk in a store and they're putting everything on the front shelf, I'm assuming I can buy. If the woman is walking out and she's looking like she's putting all her wares on Front Street, my mind says I should be able to have some of that. So now you're dealing with the dissolution of social law. the dissolving, the intentional dissolving of social bonds. And social bonds are actually what make you human. The human being is a gregarious creature who loves to congregate with people who have like concerns. The worst punishment in prison is isolation. Isolation in prison. When they put you in the box and nobody can visit you and they feed you through a little hole in the wall. Some of you know what I'm talking about. Not because you've been there, but because you heard about it. We got people in our families, including me, more than one, who spent a lot of time in prison. Good friends of mine in prison. So they tell me these stories. So that's isolation. Look at that word. Listen to that word. Ice. Remember what I said about the frozen water? Make the connection. Soul. There was a very famous leader in the 60s who wrote a book called Soul on Ice. Some of you older people would know the book. Soul on Ice. Well, that's what isolation is saying. Ice, soul, late. You know what late means if you've been to a funeral? The late Jesse so-and-so. Means dead. So that word is secretly saying to people who know how to read that language that there is actually a technique that people, especially in positions of power, that they can employ to put your soul on ice. That's why I said you can be dead and still be in this body, because they know how to kill or make dead your soul. Now, if that ain't important to you, I don't care what religion you say you're in, or even if you just say I'm spiritual. It should be very important if somebody tells you that they have a way of putting your soul on ice, of deadening your soul. There was a leader who was among us for 33 years. He was the son of Elijah Muhammad. His name was Wallace D. Muhammad. He said something very interesting before he died in 2008. He said that the world is about to experience what he called the great elimination of the soul. He said that in 2008, I want you to look at the news in 2024 and tell me if most of these people who are walking around now do not resemble the zombies that they made movies about in the 60s and the 70s. It's almost an exact replica. That's why I congratulate you as students, because you have escaped the matrix. I want you to give yourselves another round of applause. You have effectively escaped the plan so far, thus far. So if you take control of your human life based on the meanings that I'm giving to them today in this lecture, and concentrate on yourself first and foremost as a moral thinking person, making decisions for yourself based on what is best, not just based on the fact that it's a decision. It has to be the best decision in order for it to be moral, according to this connection we're making with the water and the need for pure water. And also take control of your mind as it registers different feelings that come in, right? How you feel about things. And if someone can get you to feel good about something bad, they got you. Somebody can get you to feel good about your race being superior to somebody else's race. You know, white, he's a devil. I lived under that for a lot of years. When I was studying the Nation of Islam teachings, you know, Malcolm and Elijah and all that, I lived under that. The white man, he's the devil. So I was making my decisions as to how I was going to do things around so-called white people based on that premise. Well, I got to be careful of him because I know he's a snake. Now, if I truly believed it, I wouldn't be standing before you today. Because I might have been saying that to myself consciously, but my experience with people, in my family, in the neighborhood, in the schools that I went to, my experience with them told me that no, it can't possibly be true. That a whole race of people are just demonic from birth. They said while whites in the wombs of their mothers were devils. They didn't get here yet. But that was a part of Elijah Muhammad's strategy for bringing a new level of psychology into the African American community. So don't condemn him for it until you understand the reasons why he said it. And most importantly, understand that in his last couple of years of life, 1973, 1974, he actually changed his view. And he took the burden and the onus off of so-called white people, and he put it on so-called black people. He said, you can no longer blame the white man for your problems. He said, the issue is with you. You are holding yourself back. He said, and I mean this from my heart. He never spoke like that before 1974. He said, I mean this from my heart. He said, respect everybody. And everybody will respect you. He told those people, don't think that you're so great now that God has promised you the kingdom. He said, wait until you get in. He had been teaching at that point for 43 years. You ain't in there yet? No, because your focus was still off. Your focus was on the physical flesh. White means good, black means bad. He had to graduate you out of that so that you can begin to see what was happening on the inside of the human life. And he knew he couldn't take it any further. That's why he turned it over to his son, who was the first one to say, man means mind and words make people. And he spent 33 years in psychology surgery on black people, his father's followers especially, until they could graduate out of that elementary school teaching into an understanding of what a true human actually is. So I'm going to stop at that point. I don't know if we have time for any questions, if you have any. But I think I've given you a sufficient amount of knowledge that you can now research on your own and come to your own intelligent conclusions. Does everyone know what I mean by intelligent conclusions? All right, so I'll take 2 minutes to just explain the difference between intelligence and intellect, since we're talking about the mind. We look those words up in the dictionary, and some of those weaker dictionaries tell us that they mean the same thing. Intellect and intelligence. That's not true. Look carefully at the words that you study. Intelligence. In that word means internal, what's going on inside of you. Tele means something that is being communicated. Where is it being communicated from? The gens, the genes, your DNA. So whatever created you, clocked a certain amount of information, not in your grade school teacher necessarily, not even in your mommy and dad, not in your college professor. The original information was clocked into your genes. So what is that thing in you deciding what's right for you and what's wrong for you? It's your DNA. That's why you have to do certain things when an infant is born. They already know basic things related to how they feel, what's good for them. They don't like a lot of hollering in the house, arguing and fussing, they'll start crying. You don't feed them on time, they start crying. You don't get them out and let them get some fresh air and just play around in the play yard. They get funny with you. Because those things are clocked into their DNA. So you, as students, need to, if you're not doing it already, study the DNA, RNA. The very thing that science is manipulating as we speak. They're giving you fake DNA, RNA now. And they want you to think you're going to remain a true human. You're not. Because the ingredients that they are putting into that RNA, mRNA, that's replacing your real RNA. It's not going to be a good thing. It's already having devastatingly negative effects on many people. I'm not here to be an anti-vaxxer, and I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what nature has provided for us that no human can substitute. Next, they're going to substitute the air. You'll eventually have to pay for it. No, instructor below, you're going to walk around paying for air. You're walking around paying for water, aren't you? That used to be free. So don't downplay how far these social manipulators will go, especially for economic and political power purposes. So begin to see your life as being a valuable life by using what has been clocked into your intelligence. Now, what's the difference between intelligence and intellect? Intellect means internal electing or choosing. What you're doing inside. It's a verb as well as a noun. It means what you do inside your head and inside your heart and your soul to make certain choices between things. That's the intellect. So if you find yourself not being able to make real choices, you always got to ask your mama what to do and whoever, what should I do? Then it means that your intellect has become deadened. You're still walking around, I'm going to say it for the third time, in this body, but the intellect has died. Now, I'm going to tell you one other place to find what I'm telling you, if you're in, especially Christianity or readers of the Bible. Adam, Eve, serpent. You've heard of those three, right? It says Adam was put into a deep sleep. So let's just put him on the side for now. But understand that Adam represents that thinking mind that we're talking about, that neocortex brain that makes decisions for you. Okay, that's put into a deep sleep. What's left? Eve, she's the even one, the one in the middle. And then the serpent, the reptile. Those are just discussing the three levels of your human brain. There's so much science in the Bible. It's ridiculous that this stuff has been held back from the average Bible reader. Adam is your thinking mind. That part of the brain called the neocortex that makes rational, moral and rational decisions. If you put that into a slumber and he's off the set, meaning that part of the brain is not really operating. When you look at the world, you're not looking at it for moral and rational direction. The next leader in charge is Eve, and she represents emotions. So most people who have had Adam put to sleep in their brains, they are operating emotionally. Most of the people you will run into are not like you, and what I'm looking at here, pardon me for that. They're not like what you're doing, going on to improve your life, taking the next step forward, making rational choices. That's not what they're doing. They're making mostly choices based on emotions, how they feel about a thing. And that's what's getting most people into trouble. That's what gets young people into trouble who make decisions based on how they feel about the person who they want to be a friend to, based on what they got, not what they are. Then the last level is simply the instincts. People who do things for fight or flight reasons. People who do things just based on survival sake kinds of reasons. And that's where they have many of our young people right now. The ones who are filling the jails, the ones who are out there racing each other on the street without regard for who's crossing the street, the ones who are having the drive-by shootings and all of that. They're not operating on the level of thinkers. They're not operating even on the levels of people who have real emotions for people. They're operating on fight or flight. I'm going to show you I can beat you. Or if I can't beat you, I'm going to flee until I can regain, get me some more bullets, some more pistols, some more gangbangers, and come back and try and do you again. That's the level of the average serpent, reptile. That's what they do, because they're not born out of warm sacs from their mother. They're born out of cold eggs. And the people who manipulate this world, they know that science. It's time for us to step up and begin to learn the same science, teach it to our children and grandchildren as I greet you in the greetings of peace. Salam alaikum. Thank you for allowing me to have these few minutes.
Now, excuse me. We want to thank Instructor Benjamin Durant. It's contagious. I'm sorry. We want to really thank you for what you brought to us.
Thank all of you for the invitation. And
Yes.
thank you for your patience. I appreciate that.
We appreciate that. So, I just want to make a very few comments. We're actually ahead of schedule on this program from 10 to 12, and it's just 11:45 right now. And I know sometimes, we don't get accustomed to using our attention, which is a very powerful thing to be able to harness your attention and use your attention. My staff and I did a workshop for the guys in MOST called Intention, Attention, Retention. And it involved those things, a lot of what Instructor Bilal just shared with you. But all of those things are very important and involve work. No way my brother Terry Mack could have ended up completing all his requirements for graduation. Mac, I don't think you would mind me sharing with the audience. You would to say he's a student through the Center of Access, which means that he's a special needs student that has fought his way all the way through and earned his degree. He has earned my utmost respect. Because I've seen him go through the fight. And he had some challenges. His counselors helped him. But most of all, I think what he learned was to help himself, represent himself, speak for himself when he's being mistreated. And that's the kind of thing that we think this program, MOST, and if you're not in MOST, if you're part of this organization, you're part of Southwest, that should be your goal, to help students develop enough to help themselves. Because once they leave here, they got to go out and deal with society. So they need to know everything that we're talking about. They're helping them to become a true human being. That's what a true human being is. So I know this topic is kind of unusual in this environment, but it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. We say that we are a solution for the workforce in Memphis, right? We changed our whole mantra. The whole college is considered a workforce solution. Well, what about who makes up the workforce? Right? We producing people who should be going out, creating jobs, not just applying for a job, creating a job for other people. Right? The brother up top who's filming this event right now, he's a former Project MOST student. He's also an owner of a marketing firm, Marketality. He's recording this event right now. And you'll get a chance to see it, because we intend to put it back out there again for everybody who may have missed some portions of it. Go back and just slow it down and dissect it, because the instructor dropped some gems, whether you realize it or not. He dropped some powerful gems that could help your life. So I'm not gonna give you another lecture. I'm closing out, but I want to close out by thanking you for being here, for showing up. And I'm looking at faces of my friends and some of my fellow worshipers, who decide to come out. Most of all, our dynamic MOST scholars and members of their family. I got the invite Eventbrite notices when everybody signed up and registered. They sent me a notice. I saw Brother Rivers. I saw his notice, and he had 10 tickets. I said, it must be a mistake. But it ain't no mistake. I'm looking at him right here. All 10 right here. What makes me so happy about that is because they have joined in with us. They have become our partners in helping us help young people complete their dream work. You know, all of us have dreams, and we need help sometimes accomplishing those dreams. So, without any further ado, we have lunch out in the lobby for you. We don't have that lunch there. We're going to Brother Freeman said, okay. I think we got a lunch, and he has a lunch going on too, starting at 12, if I'm not mistaken, called Soul Food Lunch. Our lunch is a Chick-fil-A lunch box, okay? But we couldn't get the services that we wanted to get to provide the kind that we wanted to provide because of lack of staff. So the next best thing for us was to go to Chick-fil-A with all this good wholesome food. And feel free as you go out to grab your box of Chick-fil-A. We got several varieties of boxes. They're not all the same. And so you just take a look, get what you want. Okay. And I see some brothers, I got to recognize them. These two brothers here, they're co-learners in this Unetics Institute, along with myself and others, traveled all the way from Atlanta for this lecture. You know, I think that's highly commendable for them to show up like they showed up. You know, can we do it, man? Yeah. And I told them earlier, call me if you get turned around. And right away in the middle of the program, my phone went out. And I didn't want to have to just jump up and start talking on the phone while the speaker was up there speaking. But I see that they found their way. I looked up, they were walking in the door. And the brother told me, he said, all I need is a map, man, and I'll be there. So, yeah. So thank you all for your travels, and all of y'all be blessed. Please keep in mind what was said about true human. Let that resonate with you about being a true human. And I believe with all my heart, it will help you to be more successful in whatever endeavor you undertake. Be a true human. Thank you so much. We'll see you the next time.